What's up, guys? Doug Polk here, and welcome back for episode 3 of The Vlog. Today, we're going to be playing a little bit of 5, 5, 10, 20, 40, maybe some 80, possibly some 160. It's going to be no limit hold'em. But first, before we jump into some high-stakes hands, I want to let you guys know about the Spring Mayhem series going on over at the Lodge. The Mayhem series is a semi-annual tournament series at the Lodge. We have a Spring Mayhem and a Fall Mayhem. And the main event of the Fall Mayhem last year had $1.6 million in it, so it is the biggest tournament that's ever been run at the Lodge. And I'm anticipating the Spring one's going to be even bigger. The action kicks off on February 22nd, and then really gets rolling on February 23rd when we have the monthly monster, but the Spring Mayhem version. Then we're going to have a mystery bounty tournament a couple days after that. Few other events, and then the main event on March 2nd with a $1.5 million guaranteed prize pool. I think there's a pretty good shot this event could have over $2 million in prize pool. We got the first monthly monster last month, over $1 million with a $500K guarantee. Doesn't seem too far-fetched that this $1,200 buy-in can end up being over $2 million at play. Also, if you want to come see me, Andrew, or Bad, well, all three of the bad boys are going to be there for this event. I guess that's actually going to be a thing we go with. You hate to see it. I got an idea of our theme song. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they raise under the gun for you? That really just rolls off the tongue. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's jump into some hands. Our session begins with buying in with some cash, and if our past sessions are any indication of the future, we're probably never going to see this cash again. We're going to be buying in for 10K. Got a little bit of reloads in case we have to make them, which has been the case lately, but I'm looking to get my first win today on the vlog. First hand we play out of the gate. We straddle here under the gun. Button opens, couple callers in the blinds. We look down at ace-3 of clubs. I decided to make the price of poker go up, $500 to go. Button gets out of the way. Both of the blinds come along for the ride.
Call for the
The flop comes queen jack 8 with 2 clubs. Huge flop for us, flopping the nut flush draw. Checks it over. Now we have a decision to make. Do we want to bet or do we want to check? I can sometimes check this back. It can be kind of weird on these stack sizes to bet because if you get raised, you're probably going to be behind. You're not going to have any fold equity because they're likely going to be check raising all in. So it makes sense to sometimes check this back and play some turns. However, you also do want to be betting occasionally. If your opponent does jam, well, you can go ahead and put it in and at least have some pretty good equity. And the pot's already pretty big. $1,500 out there pre-flop. Certainly incentivized to try and take this guy down. We go ahead and bet $750. First player thinks it over. Counts out the call. And lays it down. Second player, however, does make the check call. And we take a turn. The turn comes the 7 of hearts. Not a great turn for us, but not a terrible one either. Plenty of hands our opponent could have that could check call the flop, maybe look to fold turn. We decided to go ahead and jam. Cullen. Our opponent goes into the tank. Doesn't have a lot left behind. He's going to feel kind of incentivized to call. Thinks it over. Tough spot. Back and forth. And he does end up making the call. All right, you're good.
It would have been a much better vlog had we both played.
More getting stacked at the Lodge here. Pocket nines are good. Brick on the river, and we're off to a fantastic start here at the Lodge for vlog episode number 3. Our next hand has the 5, 5, 10, 20, 40, 80 on. It folds us in the smallest blind. We look down at the ace deuce of diamonds. Not a hand you're going to want to always be raising here, but you're going to want to mix it in every now and then. I don't play full ring. And I do decide to make it 400 to go. Probably a little big here, guys. I think you can go a little bit smaller size would make some sense. I don't like quite how big this is, but it does make its way over to the largest straddle. He puts in the call, and we're off to a flop. The flop comes king 5 deuce all clubs, and our action begins with my opponent folding. That's right. He folded.
Couldn't possibly do anything.
I had you beat. I did have you beat.
I couldn't
Let me guess, one of those was...
A3 club.
Our next hand, we have ace-6 of diamonds in the straddle. We just check it pre-flop and see a very small pot here. King, king, 6 flop. Quite good flop for us. The small blind leads out for 20 bucks. We go ahead and make the call.
Get the camera out.
The turn comes a 5. Our opponent checks. We go ahead and bet $100. He check calls. At this point, I'm thinking he probably has a 6 as well. Maybe he has some kind of ace-high hand. Maybe he has some kind of middling pair. Kind of unsure exactly what he does have, but I feel pretty good about my hand. He does check call. River is an ace. Now I'm feeling great about my hand. I think if my opponent had a king, he would have looked to bet the turn or looked to check raise me. And when I did bet, he just check called. So I go for some kind of thin value here with my counterfeit 2 pair. 300 bucks to go. Sorry, 200 bucks to go on the river. One thinks it over for, I don't know, no time. Wasn't much of a think, but he does make the call. Show him the bad news, and he throws her in the mug. We're chipping a bit down, so I add on for another $10,000 in 1K chips. Kind of easier to have some 1K chips anyway, but someone must have bought it a bit deeper, and I wanted to cover them. Our next hand, we open up the pocket 10s here in the small blind with a bunch of straddles, and the big blind 3-bets is to 320. Bit of a tough spot. Our opponent has something around $4,000 to start this hand. If we 4-bet, we kind of don't really want to get this in, so we would probably prefer to just call here. And even though we're out of position, which does suck, we don't want to play a pot that's too big. My opponent also gave me the go-ahead to be in the vlog. The flop comes out fairly good for us. 6 of spades, 2 of hearts, 5 of hearts. We check. And our opponent bets $425. As a slam dunk check call, we have a heart in our hand, which is nice. We have the overpair. If our opponent is just c-betting with some overcard type hands, we're certainly ahead. And yeah, we can be up against the overpairs, which will be expensive and bad for us, but we still need to try and defend our range by calling with some of these overpair type holdings. The turn comes the 8 of hearts, which is not my favorite card. Now, the flush, of course, gets in. However, if my opponent has a hand like ace-king, ace-queen, king-queen, any of these hands with a heart, might be looking to make a move on the turn by jamming, knowing that he has a bunch of equity if called. I'm less likely to have a flush because he has a heart, and there are a lot of hands I could have that might want to just fold here on the turn. You said all in? I think this is over for a long time. I think this is a very tough spot, guys. I'm not entirely sure what you're supposed to do. But sometimes you just got to go with your instincts.
Ooh, this is a tough one.
All right, I call. Once or twice.
It's up to you.
It really up to you, dude. Whatever you want to do.
It's up to you. Wait, let me see if I have anything.
For the vlog.
Do you know if you have anything?
Let me see if I have a heart.
Okay.
Okay, twice.
You have no heart? I have a heart. I have 10s. Twice it is. It's not good for me. That's not. God damn it. Getting crushed at the lodge. All right. The pocket kings. Probably not one of those times I should have gone with my instincts. Our next hand, it folds to us on the button, and we look down at the ace-7 of spades, playing 5, 10, 20. We open it up to 60 bucks to go. Definitely a standard open here on the button. We get 3 calls here. The small blind, the big blind, and the straddle all coming along. Flop comes ace, jack, deuce, 2 hearts. Good board for us, top pair, middle kicker. It checks around. On this board, we could certainly go for a small bet or a check. I think both are in play. I like checking here a good amount. But you do need to sometimes bet with your top pairs. If you're not going to bet with hands like ace-7 here, you're not going to have enough hands for value. And there's plenty of hands that can check color you're ahead of. Straight draws like king, queen, king 10, queen 10. Flush draws like 2 heart hands. Anything with a jack. And frankly, knowing these guys, they might call with a bunch of other stuff anyway. So we go ahead and see about 100 bucks into about 250. 100. The small blind decides to call, and this is where things start to get a little bit wild. The big blind check raises big. 425 to go. Straddle gets out of the way, back over to me. We do decide to make the call. The big blind now thinks it over. Sorry, the small blind now thinks it over and makes the call too. We're taking a 3-way turn, guys. I'm not too happy about the situation, and frankly, I almost wonder if I can just fold to this check raise. I don't know how many worse aces I'm even betting. And then on top of it, I'm going to have a bunch of stronger hands. I'm not going to bang this flop that often. In retrospect, I don't really like this call. I think I should have just gotten out of the way on the flop if I did decide to bet. Anyway, now on the turn, the big blind ships it in. Looks like just about $1,000 to go. Tough spot for us here, but we do let it go. We can be beaten either place. Don't expect him to be too light here on a four-way flop. Action now on the small blind, thinks it over. Ultimately, he counts it out and puts in the call. They decide to run it twice. And the hands that show down are King, Queen of Hearts for the small blind. Very reasonable. He's got the flush draw as well as the gut shot.
Wow, you guys owned me.
And pocket
Owned.
fours. Fours. Pocket fours. Did I not get an image of that? I'll tell you what, though. It was pocket fours. They're just owning me out here in the Texas streets. Next hand, Button decides to open it up, and I 3-bet in the middle blind with the ace-queen offsuit. Then the big blind decides to come in over the top, all in. Button folds. I think maybe you're supposed to call here sometimes, but I was told you're supposed to play tight in live poker. So I go ahead and make the laydown, and I get shown the exact same hand.
I fold.
No! Now we open up the ace-3 of spades. The action folds around to the straddle, and he does make the call. And we decide to take a flop. 8, deuce, deuce, 2 clubs. Actually, now that I look at it, there's too many chips for a heads-up pot. Maybe this is a 3-way pot. Either way, we went ahead and c-bet the flop. An 8, deuce, deuce board, one that's going to be very good for you. The guy that called in the straddle is going to be pretty screwed.
Easy.
But he gives me the bad news with a check raise. We're done. On to the next one.
All right, guys, we're looking at our next upswing course, how to play out of the small blind when there's a big blind straddle, restraddle, restraddle, restraddle. And we're going to start off with this, and that's a fold. That's how it's done.
Cutoff opens. We call on the button. I think it's been straddled to $8 this hand. And then a squeeze comes in. It's a pretty big one. We have a hand that should definitely fold, so we go ahead and make the call. Probably not a terrible call, but it's probably pretty bad.
Gotta play a little poker here.
Also, this guy's range is probably quite strong. Anyway, I do make the call. Flop comes King, Queen, 7, just about $2,000 in the pot. My opponent cuts out a bet. Fires out the $800 to go on the flop. Now, rainbow board, this gut shot's pretty strong, and if I hit this 10, it's going to be Vegas in the Mirage. That's all I'm thinking about here as I cut out my chips. Sorry, not rainbow, it's flush draw. It's a worse board. Should maybe think about these boards a little bit more before I give my commentary / analysis, which I'm sure is what you guys are here for. 3 diamonds on the turn. Flush gets in. Plenty of flushes in my range, although, of course, I've got the ace high with nothing. And my opponent rips it in. We let it go. Booking a nice L here out of this. Did he show 10s?
Wow. More
10s?
getting
I forgot he
owned on the
did that.
vlog. It's going to be a great vlog.
Next
Down
hand,
9,000.
we're in the
Yes, I've been
$160
getting-
straddle.
I've lost like every single pot for
A couple
just,
blinds get out of the way.
they're
Action
doing a
folding
great job
around
there,
the
too.
table.
It's not just you guys. Okay, we got 5. Okay.
Skull Mike makes the call in the big blind. I believe
Mike's
it's Skull
gonna
Mike.
call. Let's see. Ooh, we have a checking hand.
We
I'm
checked the
gonna check.
King 3. King of Hearts 3 of spades.
Yeah, that's nice. Quick checking hand.
Maybe it's not Skull Mike. Would he really wear a ring like that? The flop comes King 9-9. Action checks to me. That's how you
Correct.
check it back. You want to check back some kings. The weaker your kicker, the less value there is for you to get. When I have a hand like King Jack or King 10 here, plenty of kings I could beat. Makes sense to go for some value. But in this spot, I think checking it back is the right play. Gives you some kings that'll be a bit of a surprise for your opponents. And that's what they're in for, because the turn is the King of Spades. Now the big blind bets $175, and the action's on me. Definitely a spot to call. I don't think I'd want to raise almost any hands here. Call, set the trap, and let my opponent bluff the river, and look to raise them on the river as well. Small blind gets out of the way. Brick on the river. We're definitely going to win this hand unless my opponent has pocket 9s. He checks it over. We go ahead and fire out a bet,
King.
and we get paid by a 9.
All right, we're on the board.
Snapping us off.
Nice.
Finally, one going our way.
That's why you look.
Our next hand, the action looks down at us in the straddle with the 10-7 offsuit. We do call an open. There's another caller in there as well, and we take a flop. The flop comes king 9-6,
Check.
2 diamonds. We check it over to the pre-flop razor. He fires out a continuation bet of 125 bucks to go. We decided to bump it up, $500 to go. This is a nice hand to check raise with every now and then. You want to mainly check call, but sometimes raising is cool too. It gives you the ability to have some straights on certain turns. And also it's going to make it so you're not just check raising value on the flop. Of course, you're going to have some flush draws too, but you're mainly going to want to check raise when you have hands like sets and 2 pairs. This is a way to balance that out. Our opponent makes the call. The flop was king 8-6, 2 diamonds. And the turn is a 9, giving us the nut straight. Let's go, finally. All right. Bombs away, $1,200 to go here on the turn. My opponent thinks about it, and he does make the call. The river. Oh, my God. No. Why? Paired the board and the backdoor flush? I mean, it's not nearly as bad as a diamond, that's for sure. How many backdoor flushes does he really have here? How many sets does he have here? Does he really have pocket 9s in this spot that much? I guess maybe he does, because people seem to do that here at the lodge.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Set.
For Douglas Kevin Polk.
Set.
That said, not too likely he has the spades given the flop action. Way more likely he has diamonds. And also, not too likely he has a boat either. He needs to have king, 8-8, or the quads. Maybe he can float the 9-9. All in all, I feel like I'm pretty far ahead here. So I think about it, and I go ahead and bet $2,000. And well, we all know what's going to happen here.
Wow, I really thought I was going to win this one today. Oof. Just check the river. How much is it?
Almost 6.
Great.
At this point, I think I made, well, I guess it depends. Probably a mistake. My logic when I get jammed on these spots is that I'm really trying to produce good, high-quality content here on the vlog. If I fold, you guys are going to feel bored, and you're going to not click on my next video. So I decide, even though it's a complete and utter spew to call here, I want to invest in my future, in my career, and I make the call.
I call.
And I get shown the bad news.
It's good.
The king 3 of spades. What was that, the hijack? Great. Great stuff here. Excellent play from myself and my opponent. Just casually losing these 5-figure pots here at the lodge.
Okay, we got some more ammo here.
After that painstaking loss, we look down at the ace-queen offsuit here on the button. Heads up to the flop, ace-10-4, 2
unfortunately.
spades.
It would help me,
We
though.
face a fairly large bet from our opponent. He bets $400.
Oh, I
We
disagree
do decide to make
lately.
the call. I don't think there's much merit to raising here. He's going to want to keep his range wide. A lot of big bets in this hand so far. We don't want to get too carried away with our top pair second kicker. We do make the call, and the turn's the 8 of spades, completing the flush. Now my opponent winds up and fires a big bet here on the turn. At this point, I really should fold. So I do go ahead and make the call, looking to play rivers, because I don't know why. There's my money card, the 9 of spades. The trap is ready to be sprung. My opponent checks over to me. I think about it. This is clearly around the bottom of my range because I shouldn't even have this hand to begin with. We reach for chips. That's a yellow. Boom! $1,600 to go. What up? And our opponent does make the fold. And we table the ace-queen in all its glory. Only way I can win a pot. is by having nothing and bluffing. Anytime I got something and called, that's not been going good. Maybe I need to do more of this, not the other. This next hand, I don't really want to relive it. So basically, I 3-bet a guy with king, queen. He calls nines, flops a set. I flop top pair, and I pay him off on all the streets.
Dragon on the globe.
Yeah, good,
That's
good stuff
gonna get
here.
a lot of colors.
This is just a random pot I wasn't involved in, where everyone went to town on the turn on a board that was
Oh, you think that doing this?
7-5-3, 2 spades, 2 clubs, 3-way all in, massive pot. I almost never see this. And Skull Mike does them both dirty with the 10-8 of spades. Hidden spades on both runs up against the set. And what I imagine is, I don't know, 2 pair clubs? We'll never know. Because that hand isn't coming home. Play a couple small ones here and there. Nothing too important that happens. Just a little bit of pre-flop action until we look down at this next hand. Our hand begins with an $80 straddle, and the action folds to the small blind who opens it up. We look down at the pocket sixes and do make the call in the second largest blind, and the straddle decides to come along as well. 3-way to the flop, it comes down 8-3 deuce, and the original raiser decides to check the flop. At this point, I think with sixes, it can go either way. I think I lean maybe more towards a check, but you do want to bet sometimes. Of course, it's a disaster if you get check raised, but you're pretty likely to be good against the big blind, or the largest straddle rather. And I think that the guy that opened up pre-flop is likely going to see a lot of his strong hands, so his check range might be a bit too weak. We go ahead and take a stab here at the flop, betting $400. Small blind now decides to think it over and wager it all the chips. Yeah, we have to fold. I mean, we're just dead versus anything good. So we get out of the way. Straddle thinks it over. He lets it go. And this guy shows us the ace-4 offsuit. The disrespect. I mean, wow, I didn't see this coming, to be honest with you. But there it is, the ace-4 offsuit. Making some moves. The night's starting to wind down, and the action folds to me in the small blind with the ace-deuce diamonds. We do have the $160 straddle on board here. And we decided to make it $640 to go. One of the middling blinds calls, and then the big straddle looks down and makes a decision to call as well. 3-way to the flop. Let's see what we got.
It's gonna be a reasonable.
With $1,900-ish already out there, we're looking at a board of Jack 9-8 with 2 diamonds. Great board for us with the nut flush draw.
Check.
But I think this is a spot you really don't want to be betting. If you bet and get jammed on, you're going to be forced to call. You'd rather check, let people stab, and try and realize your equity. Kind of pull the move that one guy just pulled on us, but do it with a way better hand that actually makes sense. Okay, maybe I'm just being salty because he wrecked me in that one hand, but you know what I mean. Nut flush draw, it's a good spot to go for it. I check. An opponent in the blind decides to go ahead and take a stab. Big blind gets out of the way, and now it's time to spring our trap. We're pretty deep, but I can check raise here and then look to jam some turns. We all know I'll do that because I did that to start this video. Didn't work then. Maybe this will work now. Anyway, we make it 2,400. Thinks it over. Does lay it down. We show him the deuce of diamonds, though. You know, show a little power.
Yeah.
Next hand, I get Cowboys, but nothing really happens. But, you know, need the thumbnail. Play a little more nonsense, and we gear up for our last hand of the evening. I look down at the pocket fours and decide to put in a lot of money. My opponents are thinking it over. I get 3-bet. I lay it down. Great stuff. I get shown the ace queen.
That's that. Good game, everybody.
Would have been a flip.
All right, let me see how much I.
Whatever it is.
Suck.
Another great session at the lodge. There's 10. 24-9. 24-9. Lost 15,080. And that'll do it for our session at the lodge. We lost a lot of money. I didn't put like a little tracker thing. I'm doing great at this vlogging. I think you guys are really enjoying the professional quality. But safe to say, considering we lost a $10, $12, $14,000 pot, and then we lost the all-in with tens versus the kings, and then we lost the nut flush draw that bricked, and then you know, it's pretty safe to say this was a pretty sizable L. So just chalk down the L, and I will see you guys again for the next vlog. See you then.